Good afternoon, everyone, or good morning if you're joining us from other parts of the planet. We are delighted to be here and doing this webinar with you. So I will be presenting this webinar, and my name is Ilaria Pappalepore. I'm one of the lecturers in tourism and events here at Westminster. And I have invited our program leader for our postgraduate courses in both tourism and conference and events management, Dr. Claire Humphreys, who is here and will be helping me to answer your questions. So the way we have organized the webinar, as you can see, you cannot actually see a live video of us, and that is for technical reasons, but I've posted a couple of pictures here that you can see just to give you an idea of who you are actually talking to. And the way we have organized it is we have tried to anticipate some of your questions. So before we answer the questions that you are typing at the minute, we're going to have a brief presentation in which we have included content that usually our prospective students are interested in. So we'll try to answer your questions, and we have a section of the presentation with frequently asked questions. So I think many of your questions will be answered even before you ask them. But if there is anything else that you want to know during the presentation, please type your questions in the chat, and we will try to answer them as you type. But if that is not possible, because there is a lot of you online at the same time, we will have time at the end to read all your questions and then try to answer anything that we haven't already discussed during the webinar. So I'm just going to introduce some of the questions that we have prepared that we think you're probably interested in. And as I said, Claire Humphreys, who is the program leader, will help me answer these questions. So the first question that I have for Claire is, Claire, could you tell us a bit more about the teaching team, the people who are teaching on the course?
Well, thank you for that introduction, Hilaria. We have an extensive team teaching tourism and event management here at the University of Westminster. We've put some pictures online so you can see us, but actually we've also got images here of some of the research and publications we've produced, and I'll talk about that in a moment. My colleagues have a great deal of industry experience, so before coming into academia, and in some cases while working in academia, we are working with industry to further experience and knowledge. We're able to make use of those industry links to help students. So we use those links for work opportunities and for when we start to develop assignments and programs, so we can develop assignments that are practical based, where we're actually dealing with projects, or where we are offering students the opportunity to produce something that industry will use. So our industry experience and links are particularly important to the kind of experience you get here. And I know students in the past have worked with national tourist boards like Visit London, but also with event venues and tourism industry businesses here in London, so tourist attractions, venue organisers and so on. All of my colleagues are active in research. We're producing research that is useful for industry and to further knowledge, and that's important because it helps us inform our lectures and keep our lectures up to date. We are writing on the topics that you'll be taught about, so if you look at the range of books, we are producing the books and writing the books that you will be learning from. And I think it's helpful because then you can read these things and actually ask the authors questions about their experiences, about their knowledge, and it'll help you have an enhanced learning experience as a result of that. There is information about the team online, so if you look at our website, we'll have information about each of my colleagues that you can see here on screen.
Thank you, Claire. Moving on, just Claire, if you would like to say a few words about the kind of students we get, their profile, and so on.
Thank you, Ilaria. Well, we have a very international audience on both our MA Tourism Management and MA Event and Conference Management courses, and it helps to create a very interesting and collaborative kind of group. No one particular nationality will dominate. We have people coming from North and South America, from Asia and the Middle East, and occasionally from further afield, such as Australia. But what we will see is a mixture of ages also, so people who have come straight from an undergraduate qualification, perhaps finishing their first degree, as well as people who have got a lot of experience and are coming back to the university to get their masters, having gained industry experience. And we find people learn from each other in that environment, learning from experience and academic environments, to create a really positive environment.
So you can also see some of the pictures here that are on the screen at the moment that show some moments of the master's experience. So maybe Claire, if you want to tell a few words about what the photos are showing.
Thank you, Ilaria, I will. The top left picture, as you can see it, is an assessment day that the students do. This is a piece of assessment for their final project, where they've been doing some research, and they present it visually in the form of a poster to others who can have a look at their work and get to learn more about the kind of research each student is doing. It's quite an informal day in the sense that people have a chance to wander around, ask questions and vote on their favourite projects, but it also provides an opportunity to find out what your colleagues are studying and planning to research. The picture on the top right and bottom left are both from site visits that we've done. The one on the bottom left is our residential trip, and sadly on this particular day it was rather wet and rainy, but it's an opportunity where we get out of London for a couple of days and go and learn about tourism and events in different parts of the UK. The top right is a London venue, and we make London an important part of our offering. We have a lot of site visits to London venues or London attractions to learn more about the events industry and the tourism industry in the city. The bottom right is a picture of students who have now successfully graduated, and we had the opportunity to take a class photo at the end of the year just to have an opportunity to celebrate, and everyone got a copy of that picture framed to remind them of their time here at Westminster.
Okay, so this is a question that I've already seen some of you have been asking about how the course is actually structured. So I have posted here on this page the structure of the course, and I'm going to ask Claire to explain it in a bit more detail. And then there is a slide that I will show you just afterwards, in which there is a list of some of the option modules that we offer. So you can see here the modules that you will certainly do next year, or whenever you join the course. And then I will show you next the options that you have as elective modules as well. So Claire, if you just want to maybe explain a little bit how this works.
Thank you, Ilaria. So the course is split into three different groups, really. First of all, we have 60 credits of a dissertation. You'll see listed at the bottom, and this is a year-long dissertation. You start work on this at the beginning of your year and finish it by submission in September the following year. So you will start on enrolment, you'll have some classes, you'll start to work towards identifying your research project, and we'll give you guidance and assistance over the year and a supervisor to help you with that. So that takes up 60 credits, or 1/3 of the course. Another third is taken up on core modules, so 20 credits each of a concepts module, either event concepts or tourism concepts, depending on your course. And this introduces students to the key principles, the key terminologies, understanding the industry, and the kind of basic principles that you'll need to help support all of your other classes. We then have a marketing module, again, either events marketing or tourism marketing, depending on your specialism. And then finally, what is broadly for conference and events planning is a planning module that looks at the logistics of planning an event. So this is a much more practical module that looks at the theory and knowledge about how to plan an event. For tourism policy and destination management module, that's for tourism students, and it's much more around looking at how destinations are managed and planned to promote tourism, to ensure tourism is beneficial for destinations. The other third of the course is on electives. You take 20 modules each on 3 electives, and the electives will come from a range of choices which you can pick from. So we have the modules that are listed now on screen, so focusing on different areas, particularly airline or airport planning. For event management students, we have a live event experience, exploring creative experiences of attractions and events, which looks at kind of the experiential side of these two industries and is available for both tourism students and event students. A specialist module in festivals, which looks at festivals and their role in culture and in destination development, destination marketing and so on. A module that looks at mega events and focuses not just on the mega sporting events such as the Olympics, but also looks at things like world expos and capitals of culture events and so on. We have a module called Professional Practice, and I'll come back to that in a moment. So responsible management, which is looking largely at issues around sustainability and how management in industry is looking much more at ways in which their practices have to be sustainable and ethically managed. And then a module on tourism and cities, which as it suggests, focuses on tourism development and how that is important within cities and as part of city promotion, city development and the city experience. So I said I'd come back to professional practice. I see a couple of people have asked questions about work placement modules. You'll see on this list there isn't a work placement module and there isn't a compulsory requirement to take a work placement module. That said, we do have an enthusiasm to encourage students to work while they are here or gain experience while they're here, and we have a work placement team that helps with that to help find opportunities and support those opportunities for work placement while you're here. So it happens outside of the formally assessed parts of the course. Professional practice does support that particularly though, and it's a consultancy style project which is working with a company, either an event management company or an event venue or a tourism company such as a travel agent or a tour operator. And in those cases, students will be allocated to a company. They will work with the managers of those companies to address particular business issues that those managers are facing. So it's about not work practice every day, but a much more management-led practice, dealing with senior managers, learning the skills and requirements needed to be managers in these industries. So it allows us to gain quite a lot of experience and contacts that way. So for students who are looking for work experience, it is possible both in the kind of informal opportunities we offer through our work placement team and through modules such as professional practice, and for the event students delivering the event experience where they have to deliver a live event, which is part of their their module.
Thank you, Claire. Okay, just so if you can, Claire, just tell us a few words, because I think we are, we have a lot of questions that still have to be answered, but if you can say just a few words about our campus and student facilities available here.
Thank you, Ilaria. So the University of Westminster has a number of campuses, but the tourism and events courses are taught at the Marylebone campus, so all of your classes will be on the Marylebone campus. It's a modernised and refurbished campus which provides quite a lot of resources online, including IT labs and print rooms, as well as a library which includes many textbooks as well as online text, so students can work on campus or work from home looking at key reading or other journal articles. We also have access to the work placement team here on site, and we have Student Union who are active here and offering sporting and social and other opportunities. The university has a few other facilities not on this campus, things like the Regent Street Cinema, which you can see a picture of in the bottom right. It's quite interesting to have such spaces as this, because particularly for event management students, we took students to this venue last year to learn about event production in terms of sound and lighting. So we were up on the stage looking at lighting and things like that. So it provides us resources for our teaching and for the student experience, as well as being able to go and cinema to watch a film.
Great, thank you. So now I've listed a few, because actually I should have said some of you might have already been in contact with me, because I am the person who usually answers, well, myself and Claire, we're usually the people who answer questions about the course that come from students. So I've been collecting questions for a few years now, and I've listed here just a few of the most common questions. So we'll answer these ones, and then we'll give you time to type any more questions that you might have into the chat section. So our frequently asked questions. The first one is, how are teaching and learning delivered?
Thank you, Lara. You will be able to see online a timetable. The latest timetable isn't on our website yet. It will be updated and on there very soon. But we have classes usually in 3-hour blocks. Now, this might seem daunting, 3 hours of a class, but actually the classes are very interactive. And during that 3-hour block, we will use the time perhaps to have discussions, perhaps presentations, hear from guest speakers, or go out on site to visit a venue. So the 3 hours won't be 3 hours of teaching. It will be broken up into a much more interactive session. And it will give you an opportunity to ask questions of the teacher, and we have discussions within the classroom environment. So it is a very kind of interactive and engaging kind of block of time. The advantage of having it in blocks of time is that it'll allow you to kind of manage your time on campus, and if you're planning to work and things like that, it helps to manage that a little more.
So I've also seen that some of the questions that have been typed in during the presentation, one includes whether the timetable is up to date, the one on the website. So Claire just gave the answer to that. It is not the up-to-date timetable. That's the timetable that our students have been using this year, 2015, 2016. So for next year, I think we are about to be given the final timetable. Claire, is it right?
Yes, I should expect it to be online within the next week or so, with a timetable that we wouldn't then expect to change unless there are kind of unusual circumstances.
Yeah. But the one that you see is not the final timetable, and there will be possibly some changes to that timetable. Another question that I saw related to this topic is how late lectures are into the evening.
Again, they are going to change. Historically, they went through till about 8 o'clock, but I think they're actually coming forward slightly this year until about 7 o'clock. So classes will usually run, the evening classes will usually finish about 7 p.m.
Okay, thank you. Second question, how are students assessed?
This is varied. I talked earlier about the poster presentations that students do. And some students will have assessment which are presentations or seminars where they lead the class themselves and teach or lead the experience for their fellow students. But most of our assessment will take the form of a written piece of assessment, such as a piece of coursework, a report or an essay. And then in some cases there will be exams, that particularly for your elective modules there will be exams. There are some differences to this, so modules such as professional practice, it has a slightly different format because of the nature of the work with our clients, our industry client links. And for the live event module, where assessment is around the live event that is produced.
Okay, great, thank you. So I think we have already answered this question about internships, but if you want to know anything more, please ask us later. And then fourth question, will I have time to work part-time if I do the course full-time?
Many of our students do work part-time. For international students, they usually have a visa that will allow them to work up to 20 hours a week. And that's probably the maximum that we'd recommend if you're studying full-time. I think the course is quite intense. You get through a lot of things in a year. We would also recommend that you try and make the most of opportunities to engage with industry professional bodies that we will provide, so events and networking opportunities, volunteering opportunities, which will all help with your experience and also help develop your CV to make you more employable at the end. So there is time for work, but there's also lots of other things we'd like you to get involved in, so it is a balance of thinking about how much you can work, how much I'm studying, and how much I'm doing other things that will help my own career development.
Very good. And then what careers have previous students gone into?
Oh, this is very varied. I was looking back at our LinkedIn group for our past students today and looking at kind of roles they're doing. We've got people who are head of marketing for the London South Bank area, which is a big tourist area in London. We've got people who are working as event managers for venues or for event agencies. We've got people who are working at attractions such as the London Eye. We've got people working at tourist boards, both in tourism. So we've got people at places like Singapore Tourist Board working there, and places such as the London Tourist Board, where they're working in both areas related directly to tourism and also events such as business events and things like that. We've got a number working for tour operators, and they're often looking at things like account managers or marketing roles, research analyst roles. We've even got somebody working in HR for pilot recruitment, which I thought sounded quite exciting, so recruiting pilots for an airline. So there is quite a variety of the kind of jobs that people have gone on to do. And we'll often find it could be directly in tourism working perhaps for a travel company, or it might be working for other companies running events or other similar kind of activities. So there's a real wide variety of the kind of roles people who graduate go on to do.
Questions? Okay,
thank you. So first of all, there's a number of questions about the admissions process. I know about 2/3 of you here today have already applied, and about 1/3 of you are in the process of applying. So for those of you in the process of applying, you can apply online. The entry requirements require a 2-1 equivalent if you're international qualifications, or a 2-1 from the UK or similar. We would require an IELTS of 6.5 or equivalent in terms of language qualifications, and there are some information on our website about that. So you can apply online through the UK pass system, and there is a link on our webpage for the application process. The deadline for application is not really an imminent. You can keep applying right up until September. We will respond to your applications as soon as we receive them. So when you apply, we'll then give you a response, and you'll know whether you're going to be offered a place or not, and can start making plans accordingly. For those of you who've applied and been confirmed as unconditional with your place, you'll start moving on to the pre-enrollment stage, which will be happening next month. You'll be able to pre-enroll online, filling all your details, so that when you arrive at induction, the process of application and enrolment will be very quick. So between now and induction, and the induction is in the 3rd week of September, so the Wednesday and Thursday for event management students, and Thursday and Friday for tourism management students, of about the 22nd, 23rd, 24th of September. I've been asked by a couple of people about age limits and kind of average age of people on the course. I would say the average age probably is about 25. We have some people who are a little younger, coming direct from university, at say 21 or 22. We have some people who might be in their late 30s, early 40s, and we have had people who are in their certainly in their late 50s coming to do the course. So, but generally I'd say that the average age is probably kind of mid to late 20s. I had a very specific question about if you're buying a laptop, should I buy a Mac or a Windows computer? I think it doesn't make a lot of difference. We support both in the university in terms of Wi-Fi and access to books and things like that. You can get discounts if you buy it when you're a student, so you can get discounts off laptops when you arrive. So I know you might want to get one in advance, but you might find you want to look at waiting, because you'll be able to get a small discount if you want to do that. A number of people asked about work placement and internships, and I do use these terms kind of interchangeably. What we're talking about in those cases are where people are taking the opportunity to go and work within industry, either paid or unpaid, and in most cases the offerings we have through our work placement team are paid. So they will be paid opportunities where you might be working 1 or 2 days a week, or full-time for a 3-month period, perhaps during your summer vacation while you're working on your dissertation. There is no compulsory requirement, but we support this as part of something we think students should do. So there isn't a minimum or maximum time, and the work placements vary depending on the needs of the industry. So we have had some work placements that have been upwards of 3 months to 6 months long. Others are a shorter period of time. A question from somebody who's asking about evening classes, somebody who's working full-time. The course isn't possible to do as an evening-only course, but it is possible to do as a one-day release. So it is possible to choose option electives and fit your core modules and elective modules into 1 day a week. So you would need support from your company perhaps, but could do the masters as a day release. There is also a question about the cost of a Leeds weekend. I'm not quite sure what that was referring to. We offer an overnight stay. It isn't to Leeds, though Leeds is a wonderful city. Our undergraduates get to go there, but not our postgrads. And for postgrad students, the cost of the overnight residential is included in your fees, so there isn't an extra charge for that. It's all part of what we offer. And there are a number of things we include as part of your fees, and the residential is part of that. So Ilaria, is there any other questions that I need to answer?
So I think there was a question about entry requirements for the course from someone who hasn't applied yet, possibly.
Okay, so the entry requirements I mentioned a bit earlier are a 2-1 or equivalent, and you can find out details about this online, but we'll be looking at somebody with a first degree, a bachelor's degree at a level of 2-1. We can provide details about equivalencies, which would mean if you've got, say, a baccalaureate or another qualification, you can tell us what qualification you're doing, and we can tell you what the equivalence would be or what we require. And that can happen as part of the application process. If you apply, we will tell you what you need to get.
Also, I'm actually the person who often looks at the applications and assesses the application. So sometimes when you apply, then your application will be sent to me. So I just would like to add that in some cases, when you don't actually reach a 2-1 in your first degree, but you have substantial work experience, we can still consider your application. If you have very significant work experience, we've had students in the past who entered our master's degree even without a first degree, if they had a very substantial professional background. So every case is looked at individually, so I wouldn't really discourage you from applying even if you don't meet the requirements, but there are other aspects of your application that could be interesting for us, like, for example, work experience. So, be brave and just apply, and then we will assess each application on an individual basis. Looking at the other questions, someone asked how the year is structured.
So we have 2 semesters starting September to Christmas, so September to December, and then mid-January to the beginning of April. And you will take 3 modules for 3 taught modules for each of those semesters, plus you'll be working on your dissertation if you are full-time as a student. If you're part-time, you will do half of that load, doing half of your courses in the first year and half of your courses in the second year. We then have an assessment period that runs in May, where you'll take some final exams and then work on your dissertation May, June, July, with a submission at the end of August, beginning of September.
Great, thank you. Then another question I've seen about the professional practice module, and the question was, what are the companies the university links with for that module? Okay,
they vary year on year because it depends on the company and the projects that they have and the challenges they want to have addressed. We often work with venues, so we've worked with venues such as the Royal Society of Medicine. We've worked with venues such as Central Hall, Westminster, which is one of the biggest conference venues in London. We've worked with tourism businesses such as a travel agent called Jack Travel. We've worked with Harrow School for the Harrow events team, and many, many others. So, as I say, they change year on year depending on the interests of the students and the projects we think will suit what the students would be interested in.
Okay, I think we've answered most of the questions. There are only a few more. Someone was asking, when will they get to choose the elective modules?
So you get to pick your electives when you arrive in induction week. So we'll give an introduction to each of the modules, and you'll get to pick then which of the modules you want to study. For your second semester, if you decide halfway through that you want to do something different because your interests have changed, it is possible to change modules, but we get you to sign up at the beginning, certainly for your first semester module that you will be picking. So you'll pick usually 1 semester, 1 elective, and 2 electives for semester 2. So it gives you a lot of choice and some time to think about that in most of the cases.
great, thank you. Then I can see that there are a few questions about paying your fees. Now I think we have sent you a link that is a link to our university page on paying fees and all money related issues, and it's much better if you read it there, because as lecturers we don't know the details about payments and so on, so it's better if you just read it from our website, where you will find all the information you need and more about fee payments and finance and all that. Also, in terms of what to do once you have an unconditional offer, I think the best thing is, when you receive the letter, it should have information on there. Otherwise, I'll give you my contact details later and you can just contact me and I'll find out for you. But it's not something that I'm very familiar with.
I think it's useful also to say, Ilaria, that we have a Facebook group for both the tourism management course and the event management course. So if you sign up to that Facebook group, you'll have a chance to ask myself and Ilaria questions as you think about them on that Facebook group. You can also then see other questions that your fellow students are also asking, and you'll be able to get to know the other students who are planning to be in class with you. So take the opportunity of signing up to those Facebook groups. I think the links will be sent to you, so you'll be able to see those links. And there is a separate group for the event management students and a separate group for the tourism management students. So just sign up for the course you're interested in and ask your questions there. That's permanently there, so you can ask today, tomorrow, or as you think about those questions.
Finally, I think there are just two more questions. One is whether students who study with us usually end up working in the UK, or whether they leave the UK after they do their masters.
That's quite a difficult one. In many cases, our international students may choose to return home by choice straight away. Others seek work in the UK straight after graduation. The work visa does allow a small amount of period of time for working, but in many cases, students who graduate are then looking for an extended visa, and that often is a bit more complicated. Successful students who have stayed on, international students who have stayed on to work in the UK, tend to be those who have worked with a company as part of their work experience or internship activity while they were studying, and then get support and visa assistance for staying on to continue to work. For our EU students, many will often be in London before they start the course and will be working in London during and after the course.
Final two questions. Someone is asking, are there any discounts? Are there any student discounts on event venues or industry organisations?
I'm not quite sure what you mean about venues. In terms of organisations, we work with a number of professional organisations to help you gain access to employers. So we work with organisations like the International Live Event Association and the Meeting Professional International and the Tourism Society, and can have discounts in membership to help get you networking and finding jobs. I'm not quite sure about discounts for venues. The student union would certainly be involved in kind of discounted events and student events, but that I think might be something slightly different to what you were thinking.
And then the final question is about enrolment and orientation week. So if you already received an offer from us, you would already have received an invitation to start enrolment on the 22nd of September. So someone was asking, is 22nd of September correct?
It's different dates for different courses. So for the event management students, you start on the Wednesday, and for tourism management students, you start on the Thursday. In both cases, you've got a different schedule, so do make sure you have a look at the link that is available online relevant to your course. The links are available online, that information and the schedule, and including even the classrooms we're going to be meeting in September, they're all available online. There are links for that. But do just make sure, if you're an event management student, you look for a different session than the tourism management student, because your induction is the Wednesday, the tourism students, your induction is Thursday.
So when you say online?
So event management students, your induction starts Wednesday and continues Wednesday, Thursday. Tourism management students starts Thursday and continues Thursday, Friday. The links online, I think they'll be provided to you, the links to the programme and schedule, including a little welcome letter from me.
Great, thank you. So this is, I think, all your questions. I'm going to put on the screen our contact details, so if there is anything that we haven't answered and you still want to ask, feel free to contact us and we can find the information for you. So my contact details are Ilaria Papalipre, and then there's my email address there that you can copy. And then you will receive a copy anyway of this presentation. And then Claire's email address is also on the screen. So you can email either of us to ask any further questions that you may have. So I just wanted to thank people who made this possible. Arjun, who did all the technical aspects, and Claire, who came along and answered all these questions. So I hope this was helpful for you. Again, I would encourage you to join our Facebook groups. You will find a lot of useful information there, and have a chance to link up with other people who will be on the course next year and ask questions. And I look forward to seeing you either next year or the year after, depending on when you're planning to join us. Okay? Anything else, Claire?
That's it from me. Thank you very much, Ilaria.
Thank you. Bye-bye.